What's in the ball? Hey, what's up, Reefers? Your boy is back as a married man. It has been an insane 2 months. I'm so happy to be back. I'll get a little bit more into that in the future when I have some videos cut together, but let's just say I'm really glad to be back and I have missed you guys. Today I'll be sharing a tank build that has been going on for a couple months. I've been kind of hinting at it, but keeping it mostly under wrap. I like to give you guys the complete story versus like little pieces like this, so here is the full story about this tank build. Just in case any of you is wondering, this video is not sponsored. Everything is out of pocket simply because I was curious about the product. It's not until I tried the product and really like it that I started talking to vendors and I started doing a giveaway together with the company because I like it so much. Now with that out of the way, thank you for sticking around and I have missed you guys. Enjoy the video.
Flashback.
Hey guys, we're right back at House of Tropical, picking up some plants for the mini complete tank system.
Here we go.
Let's go!
Here we go now.
She's ready to go home already. This is the most ridiculous thing. Look at that. First of all, we got this cool looking octopus. And then we get this giant sea cucumber in the back. That's like ridiculous. Look at that. It's like at least 1.5 feet long. And then we got this fish that's just kind of like walking. That's swimming. It's out of fashion now. What is going on at House of Tropicals, man?
Every time here, I like to look at this tank right here. Look at that. Look at these pumper goes.
Alright, so this is what we came here for. Mosport. Right here. You may be asking, why am I picking up Mosport? Well, these will actually be one of the major elements in one of the tank build that I'm building right now, so I'll show you in a little bit.
3 hours later.
Hey guys, I want to show you guys something really cool. Check this out. Not the banana, not the 9-gallon planet tank, but the mini complete tank system with the banana for scale. This is the cutest little thing. We're not done because when I remove this, we're gonna add some nano rocks inserts right here to create some kind of scape. We're gonna add a Totoro figurines to create that famous scene in Totoro where the main characters fell into a cave and with a bunch of lush plants growing. So this is gonna set the structure of that tank build. Now you may be wondering, okay, is this just gonna be like a fishbowl kind of deal? Not so, because if I can open this up, right underneath it, this is where the filtration is going to take place. This is supposed to be sustainable, so it's not just one of those like set up, put the things in and do 100% water change and let it go. But this thing is actually going to be sustainable and it's going to be awesome. And the light, you actually have different settings as well: low, medium, high. Party time. All right, so I'm prepping all the parts now. These are kind of all the moving parts, little pieces. And then over here, following the instruction, I'm gonna run this little tiny pump for about 10 minutes because supposedly the new pumps may have some oil in there. So just in case, we're gonna run this a little bit to clean it out. The light works as a USB, well, you can daisy chain the USB. But I think ultimately I'm probably gonna run the pump on a separate outlet just so that it's cleaner. It's not like 2 wires coming out from the light back into the tank. And here are the little mini parts. These are kind of like the guards for the whatever it's called, the overflow and then the return. And while waiting for the power head to clean itself, I want to show you this. If you guys are interested in custom inserts like this or like custom frag rack that looks like actual rock, be sure to hit up NanoRocks1 on Instagram. Now, just to be clear, I actually paid to have him commission this piece, so this is not a sponsor or anything like that. I just really like his work, so I just DM him, be like, hey man, can you hook me up? I would like to commission a piece, and he absolutely delivered. Look at all these really nice detail. And I know the color is not the best because I'm using the aquarium light right here. It's a little blue. Well, actually, you know what? Here's the sun. Can't really see shadow. But once the tank is up and running, you'll be able to see all the nice work. In terms of the theme of this aquarium, I want to make it a Totoro theme because I'm a big fan of that studio. Create a lot of awesome movies like Totoro, like Laputa and Nausicaa, all-time favorites. It's probably gonna do NanoRocks a little bit of an injustice by covering part of it, but I think it just fits so well. So I'm thinking about putting Totoro right there. That's actually a really nice area that can lock the figurines in, like so. I can right here.
20 minutes later.
Right here. I know it's kind of blocking some of NanoRocks' awesome work, but it just fits in so well. There's that crevice right there. And the scene that I'm trying to recreate is actually the Totoro sleeping scene. There's like a tree trunk or slash a cave, and there's a lot of plants, a lot of weird little animals in there. So the idea is to make this little tank look lush in some way. Okay, one thing I really want to show is that there's actually a lot of well thought out pieces. For example, the acrylic going in there, there's a groove for them to really lock in, and it's actually pretty smart. Like when I first get it, I was like, okay, is this like a toy? Is it actually gonna work? But it's actually pretty well thought out. All right, so I got all the pieces put into the bottom filter portion. Basically, there's a divider right here, 2 pieces of acrylic. There's a coarse sponge right here, look like this, and there's a fine sponge right here. These are for biofiltration. This is more for mechanical filtration. And I also cut off a slice of the coarse sponge and put it right at where the water enters as per instructions. Now here's a pump, nice little pump, and then I also added some pond matrix from my 40-gallon Exolado tank. So these already have the beneficial bacteria already growing on them. My unit came with a heater, but I'm not going to use a heater, thinking I'll keep things simple. So that's why I'm pulling media out from the Exolado tank, because these bacteria is used to that kind of water temp. And then I'm gonna set up this top portion and we'll combine them and we'll see how it goes. All right guys, so here's the finished top portion. I'm gonna use a pointer. Now there's the hole right there. That means like the water comes out on this side. So we have the guard right here. And on this side, I believe that's where the water drains into. And that's actually 2 pieces of acrylic that I put in. There's that piece right down there and then this top piece. Now I'm trying to figure out why is there a slit down here, and then, well, these I get, and there's one long slit right here. So there must be something specific about this design that they did this way. And I guess water is gonna trickle through here, it's gonna come up, and then it's gonna drain down. So this thing, it's seriously well thought out. I didn't think it would be this elaborate, but apparently it is. Oh, look at this. The tank is filled and up and running. Right here, we see the water going back up. You can see the bubble pushing up. There's the drainage right there. And if, let's see, over here, we'll see the water kind of overflowing and draining to the bottom portion. And one thing I really like about this tank is how large the filtration section is. This whole other part, this bottom part is all filtration. So this is definitely a plus in my book. Even though the overall water volume is really low, but there's a lot of space dedicated to filtration.
1 week later.
Have you guys ever wondered what is in these Mosport? What exactly are these? So I believe that originally these came from a lake in Japan, but since then there are a lot of quote-unquote imitation. So these are essentially just a ball of moss, hence Mosport. But they have been really hardy, and a lot of people are telling me that, you know, just even in tap water, not feeding the tank at all, they have been growing for years with no issue. The most maintenance you have to do is maybe turn them over like weekly, just so that there's no dead spot. But I've always wondered, what's in the ball? What's in the ball? So consistency is pretty squishy, pretty soft. I just pulled this out of the Exolado tank. But the reason I pulled him out is because Daniel of Tank Addict gave me a fantastic idea. For this mini complete tank, I want to make this look really lush, right? And one trick that he recommends is to actually cut up or break apart this moss ball and line the bottom with the moss. Whoa. So that is why last week I picked up 3 of these moss ball, and we're gonna line the bottom and maybe even the back wall. I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure if it's enough. I'm gonna see if I can just break it apart my hand first. Always wanted to do this. Oh, you could. It actually just rip apart pretty easily. It's just moss. It's just moss. There's no core. Just moss. That actually flattened out to a really large piece. Let's see. Let's see how this works. Look at that. And just like that, we got plants inside this tank. All right, I'm gonna probably break apart another one and just fill in all the little gaps. See how they kind of attach, but not really. You can just easily peel them off. Shove them in corners to kind of fill in the gap, like right here as well. But this tank, since it's slightly scratched up, this is not really the final tank yet. The vendor is gonna send me another one, so I'm not gonna glue these guys down, but I just wanna lay them in there, almost like a mock-up, so we know how the final one is gonna look. Look at that. Interesting.
Yeah.
Breaking up the moss ball. So use them as decor. Yeah. Phew! Look at how dusty it is, or how cloudy it is because the Mosport sucked up all the detritus. As I press it, it kind of released them.
2 weeks later.
Alright guys, so the tank has been up and running for about 2 weeks. Things are going really well. Look, I even have some of these cherry shrimps in here, and they've been there for 2 weeks, and I've been feeding them. They've been eating well. Now I'm ready to add the very precious Totoro figurines that I have, and I noticed this. This little guy actually floats. And there's a couple ways I thought we could probably approach this. Well, first of all, I do have to seal this so that in case there's anything bad on the figurine, it's not going to leach into the water. And with that, I'm going to use Cryon's Fusion flat clear coat. If you are trying to seal things, use Cryon Fusion, not the regular one. I've used silicones, but then it leaves like a rubbery texture that I don't like. These were sealed with silicone. It's kind of hard to see right here. As you can see, it leaves kind of like a clear coat on it. It's slightly hazy and it's obviously rubbery. It doesn't look the best, so I'm trying to experiment and see if there's a better way. A few people actually recommended this, so it's not just from one source. This gave me a little bit more confidence, and the fact that some of the people that recommended this actually knows what they're doing, so I'm gonna give this a go. Now the second problem with using this figurine is this. I drop it in and this little dude floats. This figurine has air inside. I thought it may be like totally dense piece, but it's not. It's air inside. So some recommendations includes like super gluing it directly to the bottom, right? Or maybe installing a magnet here and putting a magnet at the bottom piece, and it'll kind of like suck to each other, which I thought is pretty clever as well. Ultimately, what I think I'll do is actually one recommendation where I'll drill a hole in the back. I'll put some sand in there, weigh it down, and then use super glue to seal it. Okay. Totoro.
3 weeks later.
Hey, what's up, Reefer? So it has been a few weeks since the wedding, and the mini complete tank system has been up and running. As you can see, the plant has grown in a little bit more, and let me just introduce them to you. Now, you guys all remember the Mosport that I broke up. You may notice some of the parts is a little bit faded or pale. That's because I made a big whoopsie. I dosed Excel once or twice thinking it'll help. It'll be kind of like carbon dosing, but apparently moss don't like Excel too much. So I cut that out real quick, and slowly the moss is coming back and becoming lush again. Now, besides the Mosport, I've also introduced some different moss there. We got, I believe this is Christmas moss, if I'm not, sorry, actually Java moss, I believe. And we got some flame moss somewhere in there, and we got some interesting moss that grows downwards. I'm really looking forward to see how they grow out. And these little white spots are actually super glue I used to hold the moss in. Probably not the best choice because of how they look. I moved most of the shrimp back to the 9-gallon planted tank. I left one tiny red one to see how it does. And so far it's been doing really well. I feed this little guy once a week with a little bit of those shrimp food, and it seems to be holding steady. For the most part, this tank has just been a joy to work with. Besides the fact that it's so small, it's so unique, it's just really easy to maintain, and it actually keeps clean because of how large the filtration system is in comparison to the tank volume. Now, I think the only downside is that the light does not retain the setting. So up to this point, every day, whenever I want the light on, I just have to come here and press it 3 times, which kind of sucks. So in terms of future plan for this little tank, once I get the final clean version of the tank from the vendor who is so graciously going to send me one, I'm gonna try something a little bit different. Like the stem plants in the back right now, just kind of wedged in place. I want to line the back part of this tank with Amazonian substrate and actually plants the stem plants into the substrate versus just wedging them in place, even though it seems to be doing okay. And I want to raise the back as well as frost the back acrylic so that it gives a nice little depth, and we'll see how it goes. I'll probably clean up the nano rocks a little bit so it's not all green. We got some browns, and probably do a better job at sticking some of these moss onto the nano rocks, just so that it has more of a layer versus like a jungle of random stuff. And I would like to experiment with more stem plants when I have the substrate in place, just so that there's more varieties in terms of color, textures, and growth pattern. I have a lot more confidence in this system than when I first started, now that I've seen how it has matured in the past 2 months or so. I'm still kind of hesitant using this, doing a reef tank out of it, simply because of the evaporation rate and stuff like that. It would be more of an issue than doing like a standard freshwater tank, but I'm slowly working my courage up to there. Alright guys, Well, I guess this is it for this update since the wedding. I guess I gotta tell you guys a little bit more about the wedding down the road if you guys are interested. Again, I'm just so happy to be back and I feel so blessed. Thank you for sticking around. I'll see you guys next Sunday at 12:30 p.m. sharp. See ya!